Welcome to a Kirblog about all of the Avengers with Trailer Drake. No. Welcome, everybody. It's Avengers weekend, and not week because I couldn't come up with two Kirblog topics for the Avengers. Welcome to the Avenge of the Revengers. I'm joined by somebody who has been on the show once before and also who knows infinitely more about these characters than I do, and I don't even know truly how much, but just he actually reads comics, so I can safely make that statement without feeling like a jackass. It's Drake. Say hi.
Hello there. I am Trailer Comic Drake.
Is that what you do? Two Drakes now?
Yeah, I am both.
Two whole Drakes?
Trailer and comic and Drake.
And theorist. So you're
sure.
three.
Yeah.
3 in 1. My God. Drake, I hear you like the comic books.
That is something that has been said about me.
I hear you like the Marvel.
I love the Marvel.
And we are, in fact, in the month of Mayerville. If you haven't heard my difficult to pronounce fucking theme month I have. You know what? So I had you on not super long ago.
Yeah, it was a few months ago.
For God, it was about like making it as a content creator and the sad truths of that. I think something along those lines.
It was very emotional.
Well, much of what much of the content that you focus on is in fact comic based. So to start off with, as I've been often doing with these guests I've had this month so far, is what is your origin point in terms of getting into specifically Marvel Comics?
Well, the big thing is that I've always liked comic book characters as long as I can remember, but the continuity has always been just so scary for outsiders that I actually didn't start reading them until about 2 years ago, because this girl I was dating, who I'm now engaged to, I guess it's been more about 2.5, 3 years at this point. Anyway, she liked comics, and I was like, oh, you know what? I want to impress her. So I started reading comics, and then I fell in love with them. So in the short time I've been reading them, apparently the internet thinks that I know more about them than, like, everybody.
Including me, so that's a good start.
But specifically Marvel, it was around the same time, because I personally like DC more, but I have read and I do read more Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's more relevant, and that's... being a comic book YouTuber, I have to talk about relevant topics, and since the Avengers have been just everywhere, there have been 18 movies in the cinematic universe, that's what I have to focus on, so that's mainly what I read. I think I'm reading about, probably about 14 to 20 books that Marvel's producing right now, maybe.
Have there been 18 movies already?
Yeah, Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, Captain America 1, 2, and 3, Avengers 1 and 2, Ant-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy,
Thor.
Thor Dark World, The Incredible Hulk. Okay, maybe there was 13.
Okay, either way, still, the fact that we're already like well past the double digits in 8 years is fucking insane to me.
Yeah.
My God. Well, okay, so it's for me pretty simple. A lot of these characters to me were nothing but like just characters that I'd never heard of on the select screen of Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Yep, that's about how I was for the longest time.
Good, yeah, and I mean, so I'd certainly like I said with the Spider-Man Kirblog I was talking about, Spider-Man just kind of, he just kind of omnipresently existed in my life just as an icon already long before I was born, obviously, so like, he was just always kind of there, and so, in the same way were Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, etc., a lot of the characters that now I think have become much more mainstream known, like Nick Fury and Scarlet Witch, and okay, by the way, I need to cover this Freudian slip. Every fucking time I think I'm talking about Black Widow, I say Scarlet because I think I'm talking about Scarlett Johansson.
Makes sense.
Who is not like synonymous with the character necessarily,
and it doesn't make it any easier because there is a literal Scarlet Witch now.
Yeah, it's like, oh god damn it. Yeah, so sorry, Black Widow and Hawkeye I did not know about until way later, and now that they're like known characters in general. But yeah, my first real exposure to what became the actual Avengers characters was with when Iron Man 1 came out, and
do you want me to blow your mind real quick?
Sure.
That's when everybody was exposed to. Nobody gave a shit about Iron Man. Nobody gave a shit about Thor. The only comic book characters that were really known to the mainstream audience, I mean, and you can attest to this because I was the same way. I grew up, I knew Batman, I knew Superman, I knew Wonder Woman. I knew Spider-Man, I knew the X-Men, and that's it. That was all the and maybe the Hulk. Well, I think he was pretty omnipresent. But these characters that are super big icons now, nobody gave a shit about.
Yeah, I certainly knew about the Hulk. I mean, it's weird because, like, the most I knew about the Hulk TV show was the fucking sad walking away theme that is used in every, TV show ever. I used it in fucking Parody Rangers, for God's sake. You remember that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Captain America, I'd always seen, like, the VHS tape for, like, the old live-action movie from way back, and then but the other characters I really knew like little to nothing about. I think I might have even recognized like War Machine more than Iron Man.
Well, he was a Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah. I see. It's interesting. I don't even remember. It's already been that long now that I can't quite remember what made me want to go see Iron Man. Because I mean, even at the time there were still a fair amount of comic book movies coming out on a consistent basis. And I wasn't going to see every single one of them. So I do wonder about, like, what was it about and if you remember, because I'm assuming, well, if that's the case, then were you also not interested in those characters until Iron Man came out, or what was your deal with that?
Well, like I said, I've only been reading comics for about 2.5 years at this point, and so yeah, I was like everybody else. I was a filthy casual. I mean, I knew about Iron Man because he was on some cartoons, he was in video games, but I was the kind of kid that I've always loved superheroes. I used to have these eyewitness books. I had one for Spider-Man, I had one for the X-Men, and I just read through those religiously. And I was also super interested in the mythos of comics, so I read Wikipedia articles like crazy, but didn't actually read the comics because they were too confusing. So I knew about these characters, but not a whole lot. But I still wanted to watch every comic movie when it came out. Because I loved superheroes in general. I even went and saw Daredevil in theaters when I was a kid.
Oh, me too.
Yes.
Me too.
So when Iron Man came around, like, oh, cool, another one of these guys. So I watched it and I liked it.
That's true. Yeah. Now that I think about it, I did go see Daredevil and remember liking it okay as a kid. So maybe like this just enough about superhero characters and movies in general was enough to get my attention. But it's funny because as Civil War has just come out. Steve Yurko, who I've had on, he was saying that it's funny to look back and see that despite the fact that Iron Man 1 is really like the movie, it is the movie that kicked off the MCU and, began this entire, multi-billion-dollar filmmaking franchise. It's funny to look back and say, well, Iron Man 2 and 3 are kind of like some of the least relevant to the overall, MCU universe, I guess, and like they're just MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe. Good job, Chris. They're so irrelevant, and by a lot of people, they seem to be like some of the least liked. The sequel specifically, the first one, everybody I know seems to have like incredibly fond memories of, and I do as well. It's been a long time since I've rewatched the first one again. But yeah, well, let's talk about good old Tony. Do you have much experience with any Iron Man comics or like anything with the character outside of the movies?
So I currently read both of Iron Man's ongoing series right now, which is Invincible Iron Man and Iron Man International, or International Iron Man. I get that and Batman International mixed up all the time. So I'm reading both of those. I've read Civil War. I've read a lot of the other big things. I'm a huge fan of the Illuminati, which Iron Man is like the leader of. But yeah, no, I love the character to death, but I'm not as versed in Iron Man as I am in other characters. And honestly, a lot of the Avenger characters, I don't read more than what's current, just because there's so much of it. Like Captain America has been going on just for, God, decades. For so long. Thor has been going on for decades. And so, like, for Thor, I'm reading his current book. I read a few of the previous ones. For Hulk, I'm reading the current one. I read some previous ones. That's the same way for all of them. The characters that I'm really in-depth in, like, as of yesterday, I know everything there is to know about Black Panther.
Well, he is great, so...
Yeah, so I know more about the obscure characters because I personally just find them more interesting. And because I have to be a hipster, and everybody in the comments is going to go, oh my god, Drake is such a comic book hipster, blah, 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 blah.
That's okay. All right. Well, I mean, the world is very much in love with Black Panther right now, off the heels of Civil War, and as they should be. So you're certainly on a hipster for that one. Well, before we get to the more, because I do want to get to the more obscure ones, Iron Man has kind of become like the face of the MCU, and a lot of people have been saying it's mainly because of Robert Downey Jr.'s performance, and his performance is incredible and super charming and good in every one of the movies that the character's been in. But do you also feel, I mean, from the stuff that you've seen in the more recent Iron Man comics, do you feel like there is something about Tony's character that, like, hey, he may not be Spider-Man, he may not be Wolverine, but there's a lot of like heart to this character that actually lends itself well to a leading man in a big series like this, with having, because even like in the new cartoons and probably a lot of the video games as well, and even in like before when there was Earth's Mightiest Heroes was around, and now Avengers Assemble, like he's like the main guy. And is practically like the leader, even though I think Captain America is officially the leader. But I don't know. What do you think of Tony as a human being, Drake?
Well, I like Tony. I think that he's incredibly scumbag, and I like it whenever he's a shitty character a lot of times. Probably one of my favorite runs is recent. It was called Superior Iron Man, and it was after this event called Axis, where all the good guys became bad and all the bad guys became good. And Tony just completely went insane. Like, he made this app that let people turn themselves however they want to look. It was a bioorganic virus that was through a smartphone app. And he charged people $100 a day to use it so they could be their perfect selves. Like, But the reason, Iron Man is everywhere right now is because of the MCU. Like you said, it kicked off the cinematic universe. He's the face of it all. And honestly, I think he's just become the face of Marvel in general because of it. Because nobody reads comics. A smash hit is 20,000 units sold just to retailers. So nobody reads them. Like, I'm sorry, and that's 20,000 North America. But Captain America wasn't a founding member of the Avengers, but later on he became basically the leader. Iron Man was one of the founding characters. But because of his popularity in the MCU, that's why you're seeing him in all the different cartoons and all that stuff. And that's why he's one of the few characters at Marvel that has 2 ongoing series right now. And that's not including him in the Avengers and cameos and other things. And And he also stole Mary Jane from Peter Parker, kind of.
Ew, gross.
Yeah, she's the new Pepper Potts.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew. Well, I mean, it's interesting because the fact that they went with Iron Man at first, right? Because you'd think like, Hulk is already pretty well known, just in American culture in general with fucking Lou Ferrigno and all that, and then like, Captain America, I mean, I think is a little bit more iconic as like visually even as a character, but they chose to go with Iron Man first. And that paved the way for the rest of the MCU. So clearly there's something about Tony as a character, even like, the old school Iron Man comics and everything that, made for it. Because a lot of people even say he's almost like Marvel's Batman in a way.
Kind of.
And if just in the fact that, like, he's the rich guy, certainly not a one-to-one kind of thing. Actually, the hi, I'm a Marvel, I'm a DC.
Yeah,
it's just some random guy.
Yeah, just some random guy. Yeah, I used to watch those all the time before I read comics.
Yeah, and like, I mean, that point about like, Tony and Bruce comparisons, I think are pretty solid.
Well, here's the thing. Iron Man, sure, he's a billionaire with a huge company, but I think one of the reasons they started with him is because he is a human character. It's not... With how technology has been progressing, and especially how it was in 2008, I believe that's when the movie came out, it was very believable that somebody could just make a super suit and fly around and do that. And so I think it was a grounded start, because there's less suspension of disbelief with Captain America having just a magic cocktail giving him powers. He's not a god. He's not a guy bombarded with gamma radiation. So yeah, a cocktail is perfect for Tony, but no, we got it for Cap. But he was more relatable just because he was a human, and also because it wasn't quite a superhero movie. Like, yeah, he's a hero and he's fighting evil Jeff Bridges, but because it's related in technology that people can wrap their minds around, that was a good starting point. And then once they got accepted with that, then sure, let's bring in the god. Let's bring in the giant green monster. And
the super soldier and the assassins and et cetera, et cetera.
Right, they built up to that. Like, even they had Hawkeye in Thor. just as a cameo. But they really got those regular humans kind of established and going before they went to the more comic booky things. And now that they've got everything established and people accept the gods and the super soldiers and everything, now we get to go to magic space rocks and aliens trying to get the magic space rocks to put it into a giant golden globe. And also there's a space rock that turned this android who shoots solar beams
into a real boy. I do love Vision. He's also nice.
Oh, I love Vision too, but
he's very wholesome.
Imagine if they started with that, and they started with just the Avengers and all this crazy shit.
Well, also, see, that's kind of funny because on the note of Vision, I mean, he in essence is Jarvis, and we've had 3 Iron Man movies to get used to and love Jarvis. So that there certainly is that. That is a good point because I mean, even looking back it's been a while since, again, as I said, I watched the first Iron Man movie, but it even for the time, because that was 2008, I think, right?
That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, like there really weren't any comic book movies quite like Iron Man before. So like the material that they used from the original comics and like with Ironmonger and everything, I was such an idiot. I didn't even realize that like Ironmonger was a character. I thought that like Jeff Bridges as Obadiah was War Machine. I didn't realize that was Rhodey. So I was like, oh, whoops, goes show how much I know. It was very, very different, and I think that kind of like that very unique kind of impact it left was like, oh, okay, I didn't realize movies with superhero characters in them could even be like this at all. And then, because then also Incredible Hulk wasn't like that long after that, was it?
I don't think so. I think it was probably one of the next ones, but everybody forgets about it.
No, I actually did really enjoy it.
Oh, I
would like to go back and watch again because as much as Mark Ruffalo is my favorite of the live action Bruce Banners that we've had. Personally, but I do like Ed Norton a lot. I've been watching a lot of movies that happen to all have him in it. Movies involving split personality characters, have Edward Norton somewhere in them somehow.
Definitely.
Apparently,
Birdman.
Well, yeah, no, I literally just watched that the night before.
So good.
It's a very good movie. I guess on that note, let's talk about Hulk. Hulk is a very complicated one. I feel Hulk and actually even I'll throw Ant-Man in the mix because Ant-Man and Hulk are characters, from what I have been able to gather, like they have so much to them that I feel like those characters seem to be the ones that fans are the most frustrated about, like not all of their material gets utilized as much, because like Hulk, there's all this stuff with like other Hulk characters, like as in other actual like different colored Hulks and stuff, and like Planet Hulk and everything.
We don't need that anytime soon.
And then like Ant-Man, I know was the one who was supposed to have made Ultron, and then they changed that to Tony, going the subject back to him again, which I think for the way that the MCU was set up was probably the right move to make, instead of forcing whether it was Scott or Hank so quickly. But let's go to Hulk first. What do you know about the Hulk, Greg?
I like the Hulk a lot. I especially like that I didn't put him in Civil War because it's very reminiscent of the comics. Because in the comics, the Illuminati shipped Hulk to space, which led into Planet Hulk. And I'm pretty sure the reason for that was because whoever had Hulk on their side would win. It's the same reason why Doctor Strange wasn't in the Civil War comics, because they're both insanely powerful. Whichever side has them, they're just fucked. And right now, the Hulk is actually I like the character a lot more because he's this Asian guy, Amadeus Cho. He's a 17-year-old horn dog, and he stole Hulk powers from Hulk essentially. Oh no! And now Bruce Banner doesn't have the Hulk at all.
Huh. Okay, that's completely new to me, but that's amazing. Okay. Well,
no. Xander and I, Xander Mobus, we've been geeking out on it constantly. He loves that character.
Yeah. See, actually, he gave you a little shout out in the Spider-Man Kirblog we just did. So he says hi and a pinch on the butt cheek to you.
Good.
No, that was just kidding. That was from me. Well, how about Banner? Banner's a complicated character that a lot of people I've picked up on have many feelings about, and whether or not he's ever been executed properly or otherwise in a long time. I really like the Ruffalo Bruce Banner like the most, and I liked Edward Norton fine. I don't remember who the guy was that played him in the first Hulk movie from a long time ago that I have deleted from my mind. Yeah. Whatever. It was a thing. It was a failed attempt. That was, I think, before a lot of directors had, good superhero movies. I kind of fully. I think, you know what? We needed the Raimi trilogy of Spider-Man done before I think we got a lot of these better superhero movies. At least in terms of Marvel stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Just to learn from like, okay, what do and what not do. But tell me some things about Banner.
Oh, puny Banner he's a hard one to get right because Hulk himself is not interesting. Hulk is probably the strongest non-celestial character in the Marvel universe, and he just punches things to death, and he can jump for literally miles. Like there's not much to him. He's just a mindless killing machine. What makes Hulk interesting is the Bruce Banner dynamic. It's him struggling with his own inner rage, and that's why I do like Ruffalo a whole lot, because he kind of comes across as a guy who understands his rage, and that's why he looks like dead and half asleep like at all times during the Avengers movies. It's because like he's found peace and he knows not to like really give into his emotions, otherwise he could go Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. But yeah, that's why I think there's only been the one Hulk movie, because what can you really do with him? And also, Marvel just has no good villains, so they couldn't really do anything for a Hulk villain.
Well, that's the funny thing too. A little side note: I'm starting to learn that a lot of these, Marvel characters that I recognize, like they surprisingly come from different sources that I wasn't always like aware of. Like Wolverine was like a one-off villain for somebody else, wasn't he? First, yeah, okay, so Wolverine is a Hulk character. In his origin, technically. And I think, is MODOK as well? Is that right?
I'm pretty sure that MODOK was a Captain America villain, because...
Okay.
So I don't know as much about Captain's rogues, because I usually read Captain as a part of other things, kind of like how I don't read Wonder Woman, but I read Wonder Woman as a part of things. So I've picked up on a lot of the Captain America lore through that, especially with his villains, Baron Zemo, who was in Civil War... MODOK, Winter Soldier, Red Skull, both of them, the communist and the Nazi Red Skull. I learned mostly about that. So I'm pretty sure that Zola was part of Hydra in World War II, and then Monitor Babyface.
Yeah, I mean, like, because MODOK is like everywhere in all the cartoons and video games and everything, and I'm just like, what even, where, who, why, etc. And like. But that's the thing is, like, I think, and Abomination is the only like Hulk villain that I even really know of. I wouldn't count Ross because he's not a villain necessarily.
Well, just wait till he becomes Red Hulk.
Oh well, yeah, we'll see if we get Red Hulk in MCU. But yeah, no, it is kind of interesting, like how a lot of these villains have been like shared and passed around, and depending on whatever is necessary. Because MODOK has been in. And he's been in the Iron Man cartoons before. He's in the Avengers stuff right now. I think he's fought against Hulk before and something.
He's in. They share villains because none of them are good, and so they try to make them more interesting by giving them to somebody else.
Well, they're definitely. There's Loki and Thanos and characters like that have like a lot to them.
But see that there's like 10 good Marvel villains. Marvel has so few good villains, they just keep finding excuses for the heroes to keep fighting each other. That's how few they have. Magneto's a good guy now. Like, they don't have any good villains. There's Doctor Doom, Thanos, Galactus, Loki, who nobody cared about until Thor.
That's true.
Until Tom Hiddleston, nobody gave a shit about Loki.
And now, my God, do they give a shit about him?
Yeah, they do now. But like they have, Winter Soldier is a good guy. Anytime they have a really good villain, they just become a good guy, or they die.
It does make me interested. We're skipping ahead a little bit, but on the note of Thanos, I'm just like, what the fuck are they going to do after Thanos? To which to Steve and Mike had mentioned that like, oh, maybe the Skrulls. They can't use Super Skrull because that's Fantastic Four technically, but they can use the Skrull race possibly.
Maybe. It's very ambiguous. So, you know that Ultron wasn't made out of vibranium, right?
In the comics?
Yeah, in the comics,
right.
He was made out of adamantium, and literally the first time that Ultron appeared was the first time adamantium appeared. So they're very tied together. However, because Fox got to use Wolverine's adamantium claws, they can't use adamantium. It's super weird. So because Super Skrulls are Fantastic Four, it could be argued that they can't use them. It's so fucking weird.
Yeah, we'll see in like Phase 5, whatever the overarching big force is going to be. Certainly, but I guess we're rewinding a little bit. So we talked about Hulk. How about Thor? Because we were mentioning bits about Loki. Thor is definitely one of those series I feel like not only did not very many people give a shit about, but also maybe even people were kind of like about when they even see that character, because he comes off being as very like antiquated, like early like old school type comic book character. But then surprisingly, and I think even all the general consensus is like the Thor movies are not, the biggest highlights of the MCU.
Hey,
even,
Thor 1 was
either.
great.
But I know and you know what? Actually, I liked Dark World. I watched Dark. Okay, listen, hear me out. I watched Dark World before Ultron came out because I wanted to have seen everything before Avengers 2, right? Mm-hmm. And so I went in blind with no expectations, and I actually kind of enjoyed it. Like there were some cool moments, and like they utilized like the Thor Loki relationship really, really well. But on that same note, it's the fact that like Tom Hiddleston's performance on Loki, much like what a lot of people say about Robert Downey Jr. on Iron Man. I think even more so with Loki, he made that character so incredibly intriguing and likable to everybody that watches these movies. He made for a great villain in Avengers 1, I would say. Mm-hmm. He's been really intriguing in both the Thor movies so far. I am still curious as to like what direction they're going to go with him in Ragnarok and otherwise. Because I know that he is somewhat in cahoots with Thanos, I believe.
Yeah, he's an anti-hero, kind of. Like, he's sometimes a good guy, then he's sometimes a bad guy. Like, right now, I think he's both.
Yeah.
Like, literally in 2 different books, he's a hero and a villain. But going to Dark World, do you remember the name of the villain in that one?
No.
That was Malekith the Dark Elf. Now, here's the thing. In the Marvel like comic book universe, I have a joke, is that who is the bad guy of the story? They're probably Skrulls. Are they not Skrulls? Are you sure they're not Skrulls? So that's how it works. Is it always ends up being the Skrulls. Now for Thor, it's always, is it Malekith? Are you sure it's not Malekith? Malekith is just always there. He is the main antagonist of Thor because Loki, like I said, has evolved to a kind of anti-hero. And oddly enough, Loki was invented in the Marvel Universe before Thor, which is crazy. But Malekith has become like just the main recurring bad guy. And he did fucking nothing. He wasn't memorable at all. And it sucks because he is just a sadistic bastard in the comics, and he is so fun to read anytime he comes on. He's like Joker. Like, straight up, his personality is like just almost the exact same as Joker's. And
the Dark Elf?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like he is the leader of the hunt. He has these hounds, and he's just trying to take over all 10 realms. That's just his thing. He sold sold the rights to the oil on his realm because they have no use for it to an evil minotaur on Earth. Who runs an oil company because he says, "Fuck it, I don't need it, but I do need money to run an army."
In Dark World, I mean, like he just seemed like there, and he was just like, I'm a villain, I guess. And
exactly.
I'm like, okay, whatever.
It was like when it comes to characters that I think get bastardized, I think he's the worst because he has so much potential, and they did nothing with it to give Natalie Portman more time to shine.
Well, did they kill him off in that movie? I can't remember.
I don't remember that movie. I remember that it happened, and I remember that I was disappointed that they didn't do more portal gun stuff.
Well, because in the realm of the movies, I mean, obviously, like, Red Skull got killed off right away. I mean, granted, probably a different version of him will be back.
He'll be back. He's died like 15 times in the comics.
That is fair. But yeah, I mean, like a lot of these villains, like, they just kind of come and go. And I mean, obviously, like, Zemo we know is going to come back in some way now. Thanos has been pretty overarching. Loki is now, in charge of all of the, the God world that I can't remember the name of because I'm inept. And I don't know. I mean, I would like to think that maybe he'll like that the Dark Elf character will come back at some point if he has that much material to draw from. But that seems strange that was their utilization of him for the second movie.
Yep. Now, what I am excited about though is that that Thor from the movies isn't Thor in the comics right now.
No.
Natalie Portman's character is Thor right now.
Right. That's Girl Hulk, right?
Thor.
Well, sorry. Wow. Good. On today's episode of Chris is totally not paying attention. Yeah, that is Girl Hulk, right?
Yeah, that is She-Hulk.
Oh my God. I literally just sorry. That is Girl Thor. Natalie Portman's character, the friend from Earth, is Girl Thor. Yes? That is right?
Yes.
Okay, good. After two fucking tries.
She is Jane Foster.
Okay.
And I like her as a character a whole lot. And maybe they're building up to that. Maybe not. But
do you think that they will? Well, I mean, because I was Civil War spoilers in case you guys haven't seen it by this point because you fucking should have. I was seriously expecting somebody in Civil War to die.
Me too. I was expecting Cap to get killed because he did in the comics.
Or Bucky, or even for a second I thought Iron Man was going to die. It was, and a lot of it, and this is the unfortunate side of when it's like, oh, too many things about the world outside of the comics, and on the production side where it's like how many more movies these actors are contracted to before they're done, and like and what actors are contracted to more movies. Beyond the next one that they're going to be in. Like Sebastian Stan has I think 6 more films attached or whatever, so he's here to stay. But yeah, I don't know. I do wonder if say Chris Hemsworth is like kind of getting done, if maybe like by Thor Ragnarok, maybe that version of Thor will die, and then Natalie Portman's Jane, pardon me. Maybe Jane will somehow become the next Thor.
And that's the huge thing with this, because a lot of these titles are legacy titles. Like right now, Falcon is Captain America, but because he was filling in for Steve Rogers, who became old, but now he's good again, or now he's back to normal, and now they're both Captain America, because that's comics. I
think Sam will probably eventually become Captain America. Well, I have a feeling.
Well, here's what's crazy, because Winter Soldier, Bucky, he's also been Captain America.
Yeah.
So, and he did it right after Civil War. So here's what I thought was going to happen, because I don't know if you remember Civil War, like when they were promoting it, but they kept hyping up Crossbones, the guy who was only in it for like the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yep.
He kind of helps kill Cap right after Civil War, so it's like, okay, Crossbones is here, he's going to kill Cap, and then Bucky's actor, who you just said the name of and I forgot.
Sebastian.
Stan. Yeah, he's contracted for more movies. Evans said he wants to do more directing, so he wants to not act, he wants to do directing, so he's going to leave as Cap, and then Bucky's going to be Captain America now, and that's what I thought. And then, no, none of that happened, and I was actually glad that they took all my knowledge and threw it away.
Yeah, because it's definitely good to be surprised and thrown for a loop. I have a feeling by Infinity War we'll probably have some characters getting killed off. But back to Thor for a moment. What do you feel that it is the MCU version of Thor that is the most entertaining in general, or like is there anything about the comic version at all that you find value in personally? Or
well, the original like way back in the day, decades ago, he was he was just the Norse guy. But I think the movies have impacted. The movies have impacted every character. Like Star-Lord was nothing like the movie, and now he is. Like they literally, he found his costume from the movie on the ground and put it on, and they changed his iconic gun without explanation to the movie version. It's so weird. And the personalities have changed. The current Thor I like a whole lot. He doesn't really do much, like I said, because Jane Foster Thor is the big thing right now. But right before Jane took over, there was a book called Thor: God of Thunder, and it was so fun because it was ridiculous. Thor was dual wielding Mjolnirs, and he was going through time, and there were 3 Thors: young Thor, current Thor, and old Thor.
Neat.
So he's using both Mjolnirs. Young Thor is riding literally a space shark that shoots lasers.
Oh my god!
It was fun, and if they could get that level of fun in a Thor movie, dude, I'll be sold. But the first Thor was great. Second one, not so much.
I think that's also been kind of the source as to, the Thor movies and just Thor as a character in all the current media being well executed, is that he is fun. I mean, even in the cartoon show, actually going back a note to add to this too, in Avengers Assemble and even I think in Hulk Agents of Smash, Hulk, like the Hulk, is like treated mainly as the character, and Banner only very rarely ever actually shows up. And so like they treat Hulk as like kind of like the, hey man, where'd you put my sandwich in the fridge, kind of like the big doofy guy, which is kind of a funny different sort of interpretation of him. And often they seem to have Hulk and Thor as like the jock bros, but they're all like fun, like lighthearted, kind of goofball type characters. And that seems to work for him very well. Because, I mean, even, the one of the most, if not the most iconic fucking thing to come from the first Thor movie was the, I like this, another.
Yep.
Smashing the fucking cup on the floor. So, yeah, it seems like Thor being a fun guy and not just like, ye old, fairy tale type, dramatica type shit, because that's not super interesting, I think, to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But making him a little bit more like, haha, almost, kind of what I channel with Nylock on Tome a little bit, is what I try to anyway, in a similar kind of fashion, I think is what people take to. He, if anything, actually, he kind of is almost like, or maybe I should more appropriately say Nylock is like the Thor to, the tone characters, but
Yeah.
definitely he's that member. He's that part of the dynamic of the Avengers team, I would say, and I do like that a lot. Also, special mention to, of course, the fucking hammer lifting scene from Ultron, which also might be the best scene in that entire movie.
It's so good, so good.
Yeah. Do you have much to say on perhaps Hawkeye and Black Widow?
I like Hawkeye and I like Black Widow. Hawkeye does not need his own movie. Black Widow does.
Yeah.
And I would very much love it if they went more into Black Widow. I mean, they did a little bit of that in Agent Carter with the Black Widow program, but she would just be a fun solo movie. It would just be a fun spy romp. And it would be a strong leading female protagonist. And Scarlett Johansson has shown multiple times that she can handle an action role by herself.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And because she's like, even with Lucy, I mean, I didn't watch it, but I mean, from what I saw in the trailers, it seemed like she could handle an action chick really well. And I would love to see that. It would be a great movie, and people would watch it. Why they haven't made it yet, I don't know.
They're probably still just worried, like, oh, but maybe like not enough people would go see it, or they're just saying that or whatever. But like, yeah, no, I would love to see that, absolutely, because it's funny. Like I often forget that Iron Man 2 was her introduction into the MCU. For it is what it is.
I'm pretty sure she was blonde there too.
Was she?
I think she was wearing a disguise.
I mean, I feel like her hair has definitely changed like at least 3 or 4 times throughout all these films.
Yeah.
I mean, and she's been like a major fucking highlight in all of the Avengers movies and in now both of the last 2 Captain America movies. Which, by the way, Agent 13, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she's cool. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, I'm gonna turn into a 14-year-old for a second. Cap and Natalia for life, guys. Come on. I mean,
you ship them hard.
Even though it's I know they can never be together. It's never gonna happen. But they're both adorable. I love all of their interactions.
Makes more sense than her and Hulk out of fucking left field.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, like, I don't know. At the same time, like, I do get where they like what they were trying to go for with that, and if that is given more time to breathe, sure, it's not going to get more time to breathe because at best we're going to get Hulk again in Infinity War and that's it. And I kind of doubt they're going to make time for that.
Because he's not interesting.
But no, that said, see, I feel even bad for bringing up now the shipping stuff when it comes to fucking mentioning the one female character member of the Avengers that we have thus far.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have Scarlet Witch now.
That's I was about to say Scarlet Witch as well.
And she's going to bang Vision, just like in the comics. They were totally hinting at that. And they're going to have children that are actually part of a demon.
Oh, is that a thing?
Yeah, they have kids, and they're you ever heard of the comic book One More Day, where where Spider-Man sells his marriage to undo everything?
Oh, yes, I have.
So Scarlet Witch and Vision's kids, they're part of that demon, Mephisto.
Oh.
And yeah, it's stupid.
Ew. That's terrifying.
It's okay.
Gross.
They got reincarnated, and then they're on a team of young Avengers with Ant-Man's daughter.
Okay.
The little girl.
Oh yeah, no, I think I've seen some. There's been like animated movies of like the Young Avengers or whatever, like even before the MCU happened, I think, which was strange.
Yeah, if they could just have Wiccan and the other one, I think his name is like Mercury. I don't know. If they could have them, and since they already have established Cassie Lang in Ant-Man, if they could just make a Young Avengers movie, that'd be great.
I'm curious, well, because Scarlet Witch, I think what I'm most excited about is that she's basically going to be our X-Men representation. And the fact that, as I think Mike Lucas put this, Fox just doesn't want to play ball with that, and they're not going to give up X-Men.
Oh, no, they got that Deadpool money.
Yeah, and you know what? At the same time, I can live with that because I'm also of the opinion that I think X-Men works better in its own separate universe away from the rest of the Marvel stuff.
Have I ever told you my philosophy about Marvel Comics?
No, go for it.
You either read the X-Men or literally anything else. You cannot keep up with both because there's X-Men, X-Force, X-Patrol, Uncanny X-Men, Extraordinary X-Men,
Astonishing X-Men.
Astonishing X-Men. And then they took all of the original X-Men from the beginning of the comics and they brought them into the future. So now there's 2 Icemen, 2 Beasts, 2 Cyclopses. There's too much. Two Cyclopses, 2 Beasts, too much. It's like the back of the fucking box advertising. Yeah, you can't read both at the same time. You will go insane.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know much about Inhumans. I know that that's going to be, I think, like the second to last movie in the Phase 3
They're basically
MCU
just
movies.
mutants.
Yeah, well, I mean, since they can't use the actual X-Men material, I am curious as to like what they're actually. I mean, I would imagine that Inhumans is basically going to be a Scarlet Witch movie.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure Scarlet Witch isn't an Inhuman.
Okay.
But okay, so here's the big thing. Basically, the Inhumans are just mutants. That's the big
Right.
thing. And because Marvel wants the rights to X-Men back, they've been slowly phasing out all of the mutants. Scarlet Witch actually completely made the mutant race almost extinct once. She reduced their population to 200. But so there's a big character. He was around for a long time called Namor the Submariner, and he's considered to be the first mutant, and he was basically the unofficial fifth member of the Fantastic Four. Here's the thing, though. They decided that he wasn't a mutant, he's actually an Inhuman.
Okay.
And you're seeing and it turns out that Magneto is not the father of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
I have heard about that recently, yeah.
So you're seeing all these shift towards Inhumans instead of mutants. And even to the point where the Inhumans are starting to get all of the names of like the X-Men comics. So now we have the Uncanny Inhumans, which the Uncanny X-Men is a pretty big deal. Like that's just their way to backslap Fox and get their mutant fill, but not.
Yeah. I'm a little disappointed because I'm hearing apparently not amazing things about X-Men Apocalypse. I'm still going to go see it. I'm still going to do it. That's going to wrap up Mayerville when I do the X-Men Apocalypse Talkback Kirblog later on this month. But yeah, I mean, I love the X-Men, but I am also, like, on that same note, I am glad that they're kind of, like, being treated as their own kind of separate thing. Both, it sounds like in the comics they want to do that, and then in the movies they're differentiating that. So I'm curious about, like, I know nothing about the Inhumans aside from just, like, they basically could be, mutants or X-Men characters or otherwise. But I'm also hoping. I mean, I've been liking Scarlet Witch with what they've used her for so far in the Avengers movies. So I don't know. I'm curious as to like if that will be very focused on her, like meeting other Inhumans and other people like her, etc.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know like the exact details in the comics about. All I know is that Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver aren't Magneto's kids, but I think they're still mutants.
Okay.
But I don't know. Like the main Inhuman that we have right now is Skye in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show. But also, Inhumans is probably going to tie in a whole lot to the Captain Marvel movie in the future. Because the alien race that she got her powers from created the Inhumans. So
okay, well, that's I think that's, you know what? Yeah, I think Captain Marvel and Inhumans, I believe, are in between Infinity War Part 1 and 2, the movies.
That makes a lot of sense because the Kree are a pretty big deal in the Marvel universe.
Okay, that could be interesting. Yeah, that's the thing. See, like, okay, kind of getting back on track again. Like, what I'm kind of picking up about the recent movies is that they seem to be, like, wanting to slowly phase out a lot of the older characters, and then in favor of, because obviously they're introducing Doctor Strange next. They've just finally introduced Spider-Man. They've got Black Panther. They've got Vision and Scarlet Witch. They have this new generation of characters, and even you could say Falcon to some extent too. They have this new generation of characters, so that inevitably when Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and maybe even at some point Hulk, I don't know, are fully phased out. It's like, okay, well, by this point, you've seen enough movies with enough material and enough cool stories with these new characters that you'll be okay with them being the Avengers now and them being like, the current characters that you can get into and everything. Is my kind of assumption on where they're going with this.
Well, there's that, and I think they're also starting to lead into the multiple Avengers teams. There's just a bunch. Like, everybody's a fucking Avenger. And at the end of Civil War, I think they're establishing the Secret Avengers, and I think they might actually have their own movies.
You think?
Yeah. There's so many Avengers teams. I wouldn't be surprised if the Defenders on Netflix, they just start calling them the Mighty Avengers, because...
Well, I mean, actually, that's another thing, too, with the TV shows. I mean, I still haven't seen... like Jessica Jones or Daredevil or any of that stuff yet.
Fix that. It's
I know. Yeah, Xander's been telling me, and I've seen a little bit of Daredevil, like just offhandedly, and I was like, this looks cool. I'm sure I could get into this. I just have to make the time for it because it's hours and hours of material. But yeah, I am curious about like if they will ever have anything with the TV shows factor into anything at all. Because even if like just they made like some cameos in Infinity War, I would be so okay with that.
Yeah, if they could make Daredevil somebody's lawyer once, that'd be great.
Yeah, just it doesn't have to be like a major plot point or anything, but just like having some kind of tie into that would be really satisfying. Just to know that it's all kind of tied together into one universe.
It's all connected.
Yeah, but
well, I mean, actually,
yeah.
we already have quite a bit of Agents of Shield that was in Winter Soldier. They actually had characters from the show in it.
Mm-hmm. That was a show I feel bad for completely missing the fucking boat on. I heard it was really good.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It went downhill.
Oh, that's a shame. Yeah, the next like set of movies. I mean, like Black Panther and the new Spidey have stolen people's fucking hearts in Civil War, and people are already just like, bring it on, new movies, I want them. So it's not just about like, we want the sequels for the pre-existing characters, because we've had now 3 solid fucking Cap movies. We're gonna have the 3rd Thor movie, and then we have more Avengers, like with everybody together again. And I mean, Infinity War really might be the last romp with this particular cast of characters, and then Phase 4 onward, it might be like all these new folks that they're now introducing and getting really established and everything as well.
That could be.
Yeah. What are some hopes and dreams that you have for characters that they might utilize or stories that they might adapt for the movies or anything like that in the future based off the Avengers stuff?
Oh, where do I begin? Okay, so because we have Captain Marvel and the Inhumans coming out, I'm hoping that they make a Miss Marvel movie, because Captain Marvel was Miss Marvel, and the current Miss Marvel idolized her, and she's an Inhuman. That'd be great. Bam. And then we have a teenager Pakistani American leading a movie, which would be amazing. I really hope they make a Thunderbolts movie, which is all the villains, led by currently in the comics led by Winter Soldier. That would be just a great movie. It's basically Suicide Squad for Marvel. I would love it if they did Superior Iron Man, but I doubt they would. That's the one with the techno-organic virus. I highly doubt they would do that. But God, there's so much they can pull from. Just so much.
Yeah, I mean, well, we're getting Black Panther soon. I think that's one of the next ones we're getting. And I actually talked about Black Panther because you've been on a big kick with him as of late.
Black Panther is T'Challa, the son of T'Chaka. He is from Wakanda, where most of the vibranium comes from in the world, and it is the most scientifically advanced, technologically advanced country in the entire world. Like, it is like a century ahead of America in terms of technology, which is super fucking cool. And I know a lot about him, but I don't really know what they're going to do for the movie, because, like, he goes around looking for golden frogs, and he joined the Fantastic Four once. He's married to Storm, which he can't do. There's the man ape he fights with.
Oh, is it what the hell? Claw.
Oh yeah, Ulysses Claw. Yeah,
yeah.
they're probably gonna do that first. He's made out of sound, at least. And then he also has like a sonic hand. Like he's probably gonna be the first villain. They had him in Age of Ultron. Like that's probably gonna be the first movie. But I don't know what they're gonna do after that, because just a lot of his books just like, they're good and they're entertaining, but they don't really stand on their own much, because they're also heavily involved with other characters. Like most of the black superheroes in Marvel, they just find an excuse for everybody to hang out. All the black superheroes to hang out. Like, I'm reading Black Panther, and suddenly, here's Luke Cage, here's Falcon, and here's Blade. For no reason. They're just there. So...
For no reason.
So...
good job, Marvel.
Pretty sure Fox still has Blade. Or I think they made Blade. Falcon... The reason that Falcon's good with Black Panther is because Black Panther made his wings. They don't have that connection in the movies.
Yeah.
So that's out of the way. And then Luke Cage is going to be relegated to Netflix. He can't be married to Storm, so it's just going to be him in the jungle fighting people who want to take over his throne. And one of his famous stories, the Doom War, you can't do that because Dr. Doom is a fucking Fantastic Four villain. Well,
I do wonder, since now he's kind of, allied himself with, what might be the Secret Avengers now. Because we've confirmed that Iron Man and probably Cap are both going to be in Spider-Man Homecoming. I wonder if those characters will be in Black Panther.
Maybe.
It's very possible. I don't know. I love T'Challa. I mean,
Oh, he's great.
Yeah, I mean he like stole the fucking show in Civil War. So just a story about him doing whatever I'm looking forward to enough as is, and I'm very open and curious as to like what they could do with him.
And honestly, based on that one scene with his member of the Dora Milaje, I would totally watch a movie about her.
She had a fucking presence. I was like, whoa,
Yeah,
okay, all right, you're gonna be important later. I have a feeling.
She had one line, but if she's the leader of the Dora Milaje, that'd be great. But I honestly would not be opposed to a miniseries about her on Netflix. That'd be cool, just from that one line.
Hey, well, I mean, what's next for the TV stuff? Is the Iron Fist one-off or whatever?
Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and then I'm pretty sure they greenlit a Punisher series after Daredevil.
You mean it wasn't that basically season 2 of Daredevil was the Punisher show?
No, it was, and so now he's getting his own show.
Oh, okay, well, I mean, maybe Daredevil will get to come in and say hi for 2 seconds.
Honestly, maybe.
I feel like I've heard that Captain Marvel in the Captain Marvel movie is going to be the girl version.
Yeah, it should be, because she's the Captain Marvel right now, and it would be great if they finally had a female headliner. But the big thing, though, is that she was very heavy into the original Captain Marvel, who was an alien, and she got her powers from him, and she was Miss Marvel. So I don't know how they're going to bypass all that. Maybe she's the original Captain Marvel, and she's a Kree, the alien.
Yeah, I mean, they might, like, take some liberties and just have it, like, to, be retrofitted into MCU as we're, kind of far into it, and a lot of shit has happened by this point. Mm-hmm. But then again, I mean, we haven't even talked about fucking Guardians of the Galaxy, but, like, now that, like, we know there's alien worlds and life forms and all this shit everywhere, all over the universe, I mean, that very well could be tied in. Maybe we'll even get a tease for Captain Marvel and the alien she got her powers from and everything in Guardians too, because I think that's one of the next ones as well.
Yeah, that could totally work. And Guardians was another one of those things that even comic book fans did not know about them or read them or care about them at all. Like, everybody was... I remember when Marvel vs. Capcom 3 came out, and I was like, who the fuck is this Rocket Raccoon guy?
Yep, I remember that.
And everybody's like, this is the stupidest thing ever. And now everybody loves Rocket.
Yep. And they love the New Yorker Bradley Cooper version of Rocket and not the correct British version because of the fucking reference that his name is into. Mm-hmm. So I don't really understand why they made that change. I'm not even a Guardians fan, and just like logically that annoys me that was a change that was made, I guess, just because they wanted to get Bradley Cooper. Mm-hmm. And his performance is great. It's nothing against him specifically. It's just I don't get why did we make him a New York gangster guy? This coming from the New Yorker, by the way. It just seems strange to me. But
what's hilarious is that right now, the current Guardians of the Galaxy, Star-Lord is Kitty Pryde from the X-Men, and the Thing from the Fantastic Four is on it. So, like, Fox characters. Huh. Yeah, which is it's a weird because they shut down the Fantastic Four comic because they want the movie rights back.
Well, they're gonna probably be fucking sticking with the 4 that we have the 5 I should say that we have for now, because I mean they've all become massive fucking hits.
Oh,
I mean,
definitely.
Groot is a lord of the fucking internet, is a meme now.
And I think they've all gotten spin-off comics too, besides Gamora. Like Star-Lord, Rocket, Drax, and Groot all have their own spin-offs.
Why does Gamora not have a fucking spin-off?
I don't know.
She's the most tied to fucking Thanos. That doesn't make any sense. Marvel, come on, man. What are you doing?
They gave Groot a book. Like
that is insane to me.
No, they're making books for everybody right now. Nightcrawler has his own book. Magneto has his own book. Cyclops gets his own book. Like, literally everybody has a fucking book right now.
Cyclops. Guardians 2, I know... Well, I mean, Guardians 1 I knew nothing about going into, like, at all, and I loved the shit out of the movie. I'm also very bitter to them for using the idea before me of having the fucking soundtrack of the movie be the music that the character's listening to, because I wanted to do that, dadgummit. I'll have to do it a different way, slightly, I guess. I don't know. I mean, those were a great set of characters. Wish the cartoon was a little better. I saw the first 2 episodes of the Guardians of the Galaxy series on a plane ride coming back somewhere, and I was like, that was okay. I'm probably not going to watch that. Oh, well. But I do love that gang, and I wonder about how they're going to factor into Infinity War when they just meet all these other characters, and it's going to be weird as fuck. And it's just like, who are you people? Who are you people?
Yeah, because we won't have any of those fanboy moments like with Ant-Man and Peter Parker in Civil War, because these guys are literally in another fucking like part of the galaxy. Like they don't know.
It's gonna be like, who are you? I don't know. Who are you? Yeah, because I mean, I feel like it's gonna be like a fucking territory war between the two of them. Of like, we got this. Like, no, we got this. This is our planet. Yeah, I know, but you don't know what you're doing. Yes, we do. Like,
I'm really hoping that Tony Stark and Star-Lord just start bonding over like old school pop culture.
I swear to God, that'll be like intense rivalry of like, what do you think you're doing? To then like, yeah, they're blowing it up and talking about fucking like old school music.
Dude,
and shit.
you're named after the song. What? Oh my God.
And then fucking Spider-Man will come in and be like, hey, it's my two dads that I don't have anymore. Oh, God. I'm trying to think of what else I'm hoping for. I said this a little bit in the Civil War Kirblog, but I'm glad that they seem to be doing kind of like dual movies with like, multiple characters from different things together in one package.
That's how the comics work. Like, their characters guest starring just everywhere.
Yeah, so like, I mean, because Civil War was just as much of an Iron Man movie as it was a Captain America movie, and I don't know exactly what their plans are. I'm going in very, very blind. Like, only Doctor Strange, I know absolutely nothing about.
Oh, you're gonna be in for a treat.
Yeah, and I hear great things about him. I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch is a great actor. If Doctor Strange, in the grand scheme of things, is a super powerful, like otherworldly type of character, then I'm curious as to how he's also going to factor in, because they've proven to be able to make all these different things work together in one massive deal. Mm-hmm. So I'm open and curious as to how not only are they going to make these things all work together, but also the fact that they made me give a shit about all these characters that going back to the very beginning of this discussion, that like a lot of the mainstream just didn't care about, and these characters that didn't even occur to me, like Iron Man and Thor and Captain America and everybody, the fact that they've made me give a shit, like seriously a shit, about all of these characters, just from each of these movies, and they're continuing to, expand upon what I already love about them, and while introducing new characters that now I already I want to learn more. It's like my joke before was like, I want a Black Panther movie tomorrow, and I want Spider-Man Homecoming the day afterward, and then after that I want fucking Guardians 2 to see more of what's going on with them, and then I want to learn more about Miss Marvel and Doctor Strange and everything. Like I want to know this stuff. Can you show me?
You can
I want to know
do
about the Doctor Stranges like
you
me.
can do all that by reading the comic books, where there are literally so many stories that you can probably not count them, and they're all really good, kind of, except for the ones that suck.
Well, on that note, do you wanna give a suggestion to any particular Avengers or otherwise comic series that you think have been particularly good as of late?
Okay, I'm gonna give you guys jumping on points. The big thing though is that one of the main reasons I didn't get into comic books was because I was afraid of continuity, and I felt like I wanted to read from the very beginning. You got to get over that. Like, once you accept that you're not going to know everything, read, and then you'll love it. So, if you want to read Captain America, I would say, honestly, Civil War would be a good place to start, oddly enough. You can read his 2013 run with Marvel now. It starts off very sci-fi. It gets better later. For Iron Man, I think the current run they have right now, Invincible Iron Man, great place to start. That would be great. For Thor, if you want classic Thor, read Thor God of Thunder. Dual-wielding Mjolnirs, flying space laser shark. It's great. Or if you want to read about Jane Foster, read Thor #1 from like the previous year. If you want to read about Falcon, read the current Captain Falcon. I call him Captain Falcon all the time.
Yes. By the way, I want to stop you and realize I now finally understand why you were pronouncing her name weird, Jane Foster.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you fucking clever son of a
Jane
bitch.
Foster. That's the joke. I'm surprised I haven't heard more people use it.
Just spread that. Hashtag Jane Foster. Do that. Make that a fucking thing, internet.
Yeah, so if you want to read more about Captain Falcon, then I'd recommend the current Captain America run or the one right before it. But the one before it in 2014-15, it's a little bit newcomer unfriendly, whatever.
If you also want to read more about Captain Falcon, you can play F-Zero.
Yep.
No, you can't. There's no new F-Zero game. Carry on.
For the Hulk, Planet Hulk is really good. What am I saying? I don't like it, but most people like it. Most people like Planet Hulk. I think it's terrible. But Read that. It's about...
Way to be objective.
I know. Some people think it's good. So you can read that, or if you want to read about the current Horn Dog Hulk, read Totally Awesome Hulk, because it's totally awesome and I fucking love it. Who am I forgetting? If you want to read Black Widow, read the current Black Widow book, or the one before it. Oh, dude, if you want to read Hawkeye, start with the book My Life as a Weapon. That's really good. You want to read Spider-Man, read Amazing Spider-Man #1, 2014.
And whatever happened to that Superior Spider-Man thing that you and I were working on a while ago?
Nobody else wanted to help out on it, so I had to stop it.
Oh man, yeah, we were gonna do a little motion comic thingy of a Superior Spider-Man issue.
I got to stop making those motion comics because nobody wants to help.
Oh man, hey to all you fucking people who want to be voice actors out there you go. Offer yourselves up. Offer your bodies up to Drake.
Yeah.
Sacrifice yourselves to be in his motion comic productions that now will not happen anymore.
Superior Spider-Man is good. What other... Guardians of the Galaxy. Read the Michael Bendis Guardians of the Galaxy run. I want to say 2013. Ant-Man. Read...
check out the Rocket Raccoon comic as well. It's really cute. The art is adorable.
Yeah, it's kind of like South Park. Or if you want to know more... about Star-Lord, Legendary Star-Lord is good. The book just called Star-Lord is also good. It's like the 5th time they've changed his origin story. He gets so many fucking retcons. Am I missing any of the movies? Ant-Man Volume 2.
You were saying Ant-Man. I interrupted you.
Yeah, read Ant-Man Volume 2. That was right before the movie came out, so like 2015, 2014. Listen, any #1 that Marvel has put out in the past, 3 years, that's the best place to start. 2013 to 2016, if it says #1 on it, then read it. It's good.
Well, I agree with all those things. Hey, where can they find you to talk about these things more in depth than the hour that we just spent on this?
You can go to my channel called Comic Drake. You can do that by searching Comic Drake in the YouTube search, or by going to comicdrake.com, because that goes right to my YouTube channel. And you will learn everything you need to know about comics and everything you don't need to know about comics. I go obnoxiously in depth, but I make it newcomer friendly. So I try to explain things in the most basic of terms, and it leads to some very, very funny explanations. like in this Black Panther video I'm about to put out today, I'm talking about how technically the multiverse doesn't exist, but now it does, because the universes started smacking into each other. Oh. So, yeah, that was happening for 3 years, and Black Panther made it not happen by using one of the Infinity Gems, kind of.
Dragon Ball Super should take some fucking notes on that with their 12 universe shit
going
on.
No. Marvel had literally infinite, and then they destroyed them all.
Whoops.
And then didn't.
I think it's going to wrap us up. So thank you for joining me. I almost said us, but we are not Venom, in fact. That's Ben Deskin is. So, Drake, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I hope you enjoyed getting to splurge with me about these characters that apparently you don't know that much more than me about me.
Dude,
than me.
Anytime I can talk comics,
English.
I am happy.
Well, no, despite not being an old school, because then I realized, oh, right, Drake is 12, never mind. Yeah. The fact that you know a lot more about these characters than I do was a tremendous help, and I wanted to at least do one Kirblog this month about the Avengers characters, so you were greatly appreciated, your services.
No, seriously, anytime you want to talk about comics, let me know.
Anytime ever, even outside of Kirblog. We're going to talk about Superior Spider-Man for an hour after this.
Definitely. You should listen to Xander and I get drunk and talk about comics. It's fun.
I didn't even know you guys had this fucking secret nerd relationship with each other this whole time. Apparently he's been fucking cheating on me, no. Xander Mobus.
No, Xander likes to drink a bottle of wine and start talking about Hulk.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
That's gonna do it. So in the comments below, everybody, leave your thoughts, hopes, dreams, aspirations about anything and everything to do with the Avengers. Do you have recommendations to add on to Drake's about what comics to maybe try getting into? Any particular favorite characters, heroes, villains, anti-heroes, Loki, if you like Loki, just say Loki.
Any of the Lokis. Young Loki, kid Loki, girl Loki, old Loki, current Loki, hipster Loki.
Tom Loki.
Oh yeah, that one does exist too. Any of the Lokis.
Loki Strikes, Loki Charms, not though. And any future movies you're looking forward to, ones that you want to see made. I will actually. Last thing I'll say, I want to see a fucking Runaways movie.
Ooh,
I
it'd
want
be
that to
so
happen
good.
someday.
But you can't
God,
do
I
it
want that.
because Marvel or because Fox has the mutant rights.
Shitballs. Well, they'll just make it not with mutants.
Inhumans.
They'll just do whatever. Well, they'll make it with Inhumans, and I can live with that. That'd be great. And then if you have future Kirblog topics, I'll just say not Marvel related because the rest of the month is already pretty much booked up in terms of it's going to be X-Men week coming up now. I'm going to be joined by Mike and Steve again. We're going to talk about the X-Men animated series. I'm going to talk about the movies, and then we'll end on a X-Men Apocalypse talk back, probably about how disappointed I'll be about how much I didn't like the movie. But we'll see.
Hey, Chris, can I come back for DC Ember?
That was Pokesember. Thank you very much. I don't do DC Ember.
Can it be DC Ember this year?
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. Thanks again, Drakel. And we will see you all in the next issue. I did it.